Hi and welcome to Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse Skinner, and today I want to show you 7 Svelte features that bring me joy. So the first one, if we just put an input here, I'm in the Svelte REPL on the Svelte website. I have an input here, and let's say I want to bind the value of that input to a variable. Like, we'll call it value. And let's say we're going to show what the value is here. So we can just use bind:value, and then you tell it which variable you want it to bind to. And anything we type in here is going to show up rendered on the page. And there's a cool little shortcut here too. If the name of the input that you want to bind to, like value in this case, is the same as your variable name, you don't actually have to put that extra part. So this is really cool. We can just do that right there. So let's say we want to keep track of or show, let's keep track of some colors that we're interested in. So I'm going to set the background of this input to be value. So if we type something in here like red, then it turns the background red or yellow. That's pretty cool. So let's say we want to also have this outside of the input. So I'm going to make a second component. We'll call it color. And it's going to take a single prop. Now the way you define a prop is export let and then the prop name. We'll call it color. And let's render it as a div. And we'll do the same kind of trick and set background to be color. And I'm going to do some CSS in here. Now notice I'm not using a class. I'm actually going to style div. And normally this would be a horrible idea because all the divs on your whole site would be styled with that CSS, but not in Svelte. In Svelte, the style block inside your component is scoped to that component. So we can do something like set a width and a height and a display. Let's give it a margin, let's say. And then if I import that component and use it, I can say color equals value. And then if I do something like red, it shows up right away. So that's pretty cool. So let's say we want to actually have a list of colors that we want to keep track of. Well, I want it so when I type in a color, I'm going to hit enter and it's going to add to a list. So the way to do that is to wrap the input in a form and have a submit handler. So normally if I do a submit handler like this, I need to write some extra code that's going to prevent default so that the form doesn't submit, causing the page to refresh. Well, Svelte has a cool little feature for that too. You can add a pipe here and prevent default, and now this submit handler automatically is going to prevent default for us, so we don't have to write that extra code. So I'm going to make an extra variable here to keep track of the list of colors, and we're simply going to add the value to that list using concat. And we're going to reset the value to an empty string when that happens. So now I can type yellow. When I hit enter, the page doesn't refresh. It disappears, but that's because I'm not looping over that list of colors. So to do that, I'm going to use each colors as color. And then I'm going to pass color in to the prop. Now here's another cool feature with Svelte. Just like with the binding, if the prop name and the variable name are the same, then there's a little shortcut you can do, which is just this, which keeps the code a little bit cleaner, less repetition. So now I should be able to say yellow, red, green, and that works fine. But what about when we start off, there's just nothing there. So how about we want to say if there's no colors yet, then we'll have some empty state. So there's another cool feature that we can use here, and that's the else clause of a loop, each loop, and we can say please enter a color. So now it starts off with that. We can do yellow, green, blue, and that works fine if you type the color right. And maybe it'd be nice to have these fade in as well. So it's very easy to do transitions in Svelte. So I'm going to import this fade transition from svelte/transition. And that'll let us add a directive here, transition: fade. Now, whenever a div appears or disappears, it's going to fade. So we'll see yellow, green, red. You see how that fades in nicely? Now, that's about it, but I'd like to organize my code a little bit more, and Svelte does something that's really powerful it's definitely my favorite feature of Svelte. If you wanted to do, well, let me just show you. So I'm going to create a color manager, and this will manage our colors for us. And I'm going to move, so I'm just refactoring. I'm not really writing any new code, but I'm going to move part of this into that color manager. All the stuff that handles the form and the list of colors. So we'll put that in there. The handle submit. We also need to move the form over as well. And then what I want to do is have this component manage the colors and the form, and then pass the list of colors back for my app component to render here. So this is broken right now. So how do you figure we would get the list of colors back? And I'll show you a very cool feature that does that. Color manager.svelte. So we're going to use our color manager here, and the way I'm going to get the list of colors back is by using a slot. So I'm going to put the slot here, and what the slot references is the children of the component. So I'm going to pass back to the children a variable, and so I can set colors equals colors back to the slot. Now again, that shortcut comes in here, so we don't have to do that colors equals colors. We can just pass it in like that. And that's called a slot prop. So we're passing the data back to the children. So in here, I'm going to use let colors, and that gives us access to the variable. So in here, we can do our loop. And so we've delegated the management of the colors to a child component, but we're not mixing color manager and colors. The two are decoupled. So it actually gives us that freedom to organize our code in a really nice way. And everything should work just fine here. Green, blue. So that's the 7 Svelte features that bring me joy. I hope they've brought you some joy too. If you're interested in Svelte, please check out my course, The Joy of Svelte, at joyofsvelte.com. I hope to see you there, and thanks for watching. Cheers.